Welcome to the World Builders Library. Today, we're back in Armitage. This is a core episode resolving year 5 of our thought experiment in economic gaming. Our town is a mining village out in the middle of a sandy nowhere. We'll do a map one day soon to get some better perspective, but it's really not relevant to this formula-based system that we've been talking about. We're going to do that just for fun. I'm Lewis Nichols, your head economist and mathematician. Let's start by resolving last year's efforts. First, the formula. The Electrum mine is still our town's only significant source of income. This is the first year for 46 minus 44, and it's not awesome. Expenses were high, giving us a profit of only 1,000 gold pieces. Added to the reserve, we'll have 4,000 to invest this year. We'll make a trade roll. It's an 8. Worse with negative modifiers, but still plenty to sell a measly 1,000 gold pieces worth of ore. To add a little plot to the numbers, we'll say that productivity was hampered by illness. The high expense was the purchase of medicine to keep the miners working. In a campaign, you might offer dilemmas to the party, but using the formula, filling in the story is just justifying the numbers. Tell the PCs this tale is not opening the door for them to say, "Well, I have the medicine skill. Do we still have to spend the money?" The answer is always yes, and you're able to spend this money so wisely because of that skill. Of course, the details are always up to you as the DM. I would just say, don't metagame manage your system into irrelevance. Next up, last year was a good year, and the posse invested in a lot of different stuff. I rolled a lot of really unnecessarily high numbers, so everything goes up. Infrastructure, industry, the mine, security, agriculture, and trade. The map now reflects new housing, a new watchtower, camp improvements, and vegetable gardens. Next up, an amenities roll. How satisfied are the locals with their existence? If you play city builder games, this is a happiness check. With penalties, it's not amazing, but not bad. It's a 10. No major moves population-wise, at least not based on this roll. Now, if you recall, our party was visiting the homeland of Manzamea to set up some recruiting. That roll has bonuses, so a roll of 12 ends up a 16. That's pretty good. The town will pick up more settlers for a total of plus 70. Among them is a tourism expert. Not sure how useful he's going to be, but we've got him. Also, we've brought in a jeweler and a cobbler. That's the guy that makes shoes. Just for kicks, I made some rolls for our other businesses, and these are the results. Next up is security. This is something the party has been directly involved in for most of the last 2 years, so I'm not going to make a roll. In-game, this would be getting played out as a plot line. There was an investigation roll made, and it was found that a formal thieves guild from the civilized lands, Manzamea, well, they were complicit all along. The whole guild isn't to blame, but the thieves from 2 years ago are members. This issue isn't wholly resolved. And remember, the main thing here, when the party isn't highly involved, is that security score and the random rolls based on it. Until it gets higher, it's gonna be a problem. Bad security can still mean barbarian raids, internal corruption, a passing adventuring team of murder hobos, or even something weird. This is D&D after all. Could be an extortion payout to a dragon, or the town could be the victim of a band of traveling ogres. I've noticed these core episodes work out to be 3 chapters. The first is the resolution of the previous planning phase. Second is theory, talking about the system itself, introducing new concepts, working out problems that we've had and are now able to fix with a little hindsight. And finally, the planning phase, where we set things up for a future episode. Today, part 2 starts with a question. What is the most important magical item for a town to own? If you live in a desert, it might be a decanter of endless water. Madge bought one this year. Magical light is certainly a big deal. Enchanted digging equipment is cool to have around. How about arcane air conditioning? Always a must if you're going over 5 stories in your architecture. But it's hard to top a water supply in the desert. The decanter does not require attunement, and it doesn't have an activation limit. In theory, you can keep this thing going 24/7 as long as you have somebody to activate it every 6 seconds. Full bore, you can get about 400,000 gallons a day, but I think that would take a second magical device designed for high efficiency activation. This probably is also an uncommon item, but available only in high development or high magic worlds. I'm ruling 100,000 gallons is doable for our experiment. How much is that? Well, an Olympic-sized swimming pool holds 650,000, so it's about the size of a large in-ground home pool, but that's per day. It's not a river or even a stream. Around Armitage, it might create a tiny drainage strong enough to go a few thousand feet before drying up. However, these things are cheap enough and common enough, the posse might end up with dozens. They could change the face of the desert. For now, their single unit is plenty to start greening up the place. It's enough for their 3 acres of gardens, with enough left over for a net gain in the local water table. Hold on to your seats. This is a total tangent. Now I'm waiting for the new Eberron source book, supposed to be out at the end of 2025, to formalize this. But, as it stands, I'm probably allowing Artificer's magical items to become permanent if they are maintained every day for 365 days. This is using the Replicate Magic item ability. Therefore, such a character could potentially make 1 or 2 of these per year. Hence the reason that they're just common, uncommon magical items. Next up, we need to talk about expanding the main chart. Are there any broad strokes that I've missed on our list? You can mention these in the comments, because I know you've seen things. What do cities spend their money on? You guys got to remember, this is at best a second draft of this system for me. We are making this up as we go along. I'm adding social programs to the list. Later, this might be a pension program or some basic meals program. You might argue healthcare falls under this category, but I'm going to make it its own thing for now. I'm also splitting military out of security. This is mostly because Phyllis wants a true martial force up and running sooner than later. Finally, I'm adding payroll. For now, a lot of civic jobs have been done out of a commitment for civic duty. At some point, though, we're going to need a bureaucracy. We're also adding a few special projects. These can be temples, mega projects, funded initiatives, etc. It will definitely include the open market, which we will name in this episode, I promise. We are also going to add the Hall of Better Relations with the Tigami Nations. That name's not going to last. Sometimes in naming stuff, guys, you just got to throw something out there and work with it as we go. That's what it is for now. This structure is going to create a sort of diplomatic effort towards the barbarian peoples that we talk about so much. In fact, we're probably going to do an episode about them someday, too. Very possibly folding in an old video I once did on world building barbarians. Alright, but I seriously digress. Alright, let's talk about some big issues for the town. Armitage has a big advantage in that they are isolated. The people who are here, they do not like the restrictiveness of their homeland. There is a conflict here because most of them are trying to create a better life that will eventually lead to the area being annexed by that government, but with them gaining status, or at least their children gaining status, making them major business owners, possibly even getting promoted into the nobility. Now, reading that statement does make me realize that investing in those kids directly will probably be a big deal for the town, but we're going to save that for later. So there are 2 big challenges. One is trade. Eventually, that trade score we're going to have to deal with the potential of it topping out, because there's only so much reason for people to come out here. There's only so much attraction to this little town at this point. It's kind of a one-way trip. It's the end of the road. Developing the riverport to the south would help, but it is an uncomfortable number of miles away to make that convenient. Trade north or west with foreign powers, it is promising, but they are weeks away. Now, if routes could ever be established with Armitage as a waypoint, it would be an instant boom for everyone involved. So, the second big issue, the second challenge, the second part of the first challenge, what we really need to overcome. What are we going to export? There are no natural resources here beyond the mine. So, there is a natural choice, maybe build smelters to export electrum rather than electrum ore. Step 2 to that is electrum products. They probably couldn't get away with minting coins, but there is jewelry and enchantables. A second option here, one that I kind of like, we're going to call it the Abu Dhabi solution. That is a city-state in the Middle East that has started using, well, years ago, started using their oil money to become a financial center. Armitage has the option of picking a big project and using all that electrum money to build some sustainable source of income. And this is fantasy. We can do all kinds of wild stuff. So I'm going to let you guys think about that. Again, leave comments. What do you think we ought to do? This is your chance to really affect the future of this project. Now, what about this sheriff's department and the market? The sheriff's department is now the local law enforcement center for Armitage. They're charged with keeping order and dealing with crime. They follow the framework of man-to-man law, but they are in unincorporated territory. Members of the posse make any final decisions in enforcement. When they are not around, the sheriff is the decision maker. This creates potential for in-game drama when the party has to deal with the results of their rulings. And the market? We should name it something. The Armitage Market, Armitage Bazaar, Dry Sands Market, Grand Caravan Market Camp, the Grand Caravansary. Ha! I like that one. Grand Caravansary it is. This is a structure rolled out of the town's trade score. Meager that it is. It can be used to supplement the trade score, the amenity score, or be treated as a moneymaker. In terms of long-term planning, it's something the Ponderosa Posse and the town itself is thinking about in terms of long-distance trade with foreign powers. Nailed it. Let's do some planning. Infrastructure and religion are definitely getting the experts. Now, let me tell you, there was a fierce discussion among the posse about what to do with the rest. There was an argument just to set back the whole 4,000, kind of take this year off, financially speaking. Part of that idea entailed the party spending a whole year in town and convincing the DM, me, the writer, the creator, the guy that has to listen to everybody's complaints and desires. Well, they wanted me to give them score improvements based on their efforts. The idea had potential. I would have certainly entertained the idea of each acting as an expert. They were also considering the opposite and wanted to know what kind of adventuring opportunities were available. They are 7th level. Yeah, I know, I just finished their 5th level write-ups. The point is, they came up with a few leads and decided to go all out. They will invest that whole 4,000 and bank on a successful personal season of success. Between you and me, I think they know I won't TPK them. Loss of important body parts, though, well, that's still an option. 1,000 gold is going out to the town as sort of a stimulus package. For the next few months, every working adult will receive a gold piece on the 15th. This will give them a +1 on the amenities check next year to help ensure immigration continues. The rest will be invested in religion, which is going to be groundwork for a Temple of Luminous. 1,000 for security. We're going to call it uniforms for the town guard, for the sheriff's department, a jail, and a new house for that sheriff. And 1,000 to start building back our trade score. What about that trade center? They could use the structure as a supplement to next year's trade roll. However, this is a gambler's year, so we're going to be charging and taxing. What's the rate? How does 1d6 minus 1d4 times 1,000 game out? Seems like a lot. As things stand, how could they possibly earn 5,000 in income? Or lose 3,000 for that matter? A multiplier of 100 seems more appropriate. Quite reasonable, actually. Two major caravans bringing in 500 gold, that's pretty good. Or no income and a loss of 300 to, say, storm damage. Yeah, that tracks. We're going to talk about progression of growth later. Now remember, the sheriff's department actually becomes our default security, which means that this could be a bad year. However, the posse, will set the military on a mission that they've technically been doing this whole time anyway: security. That means the numbers will still amount to about the same thing, which they're bad. They're still bad. And that brings us to an end of a long one, lovely people. Getting pretty deep into it, I'm still really enthused about this video series. It needs some supplements. You can still look forward to a geography video. We could certainly talk more about the barbarians, so that's something to think about. I'm also thinking about a piece on the posse's level advancement and what sessions might look like in a game type like this. I mean, we're just talking about the numbers, but in real life, this would be part of a more traditional looking campaign, just with the economic undertones. I want to thank you all for stopping by. You are all good people, and I enjoy hanging out with you. Leave a comment if you're still happy with the series. What am I missing? Think about it and get back to me. In the meantime, I hope you all have a spectacular rest of the day. Cheers.